Hi there YouTube, it's me Morphsuit, I can't even speak. It's me Morphsuit America, and in this video I'll be talking about a game called Ark Survival Evolved because I do have a bit of history with it and I am getting back into the game. I'll talk about the server that I have and talk about how you guys, depending on the requirements, can join as well. But yeah, I have a lot of history with this. Note that this entire video is just me talking about Arks, and you might see a bit of edit at the end, or like a bit later at the end, where I show some of my old gameplay footage when I played on the PS4. But yeah, I actually had a good run with, well, I wouldn't say good, but I did experience Ark Survival Evolved for at least a year's worth before I stopped playing, and there's a lot of stories I got. I never mentioned it in this channel. I did stream Ark Survival from the PS4 on my channel, but yeah, it's been ages since I touched this game, and there's a lot of changes here and there. And obviously, since I'm talking about it, I just don't want to just talk about it. I kind of need to play as well, so I'll be doing some stuff in game and try to match some of the stuff that I'm saying with the stuff that I'm doing in game and just talk about arcs. Note that this is just my opinions, and note that this is just me giving my stories that I've done when I was playing on Ark Survival Evolved. There's a lot of things that I'm gonna be touching on, so if you want to see a particular point, hopefully I can formulate myself in that manner. You can look in the description for the time skip. But let me go into why I got into this. There's a few reasons to why I got into it. This is more of a guilty pleasure, I guess, and this kind of hits my childhood because back then I wanted to be a paleontologist, but then I realized being a paleontologist didn't really do well. I mean, it has its perks, but at the same time, it wasn't as fruitful compared to being someone like an engineer or doing some computer informational technology stuff. Or, you know, it didn't really utterly catch my interest, but I was fascinated with the concept of dinosaurs and all that. Or dinosaurs. So, that's why I kind of went towards Ark, but the big reason to why I went to Ark Survival Evolved is due to what happened back in, when was it? I think around 2016. I was playing PS2 back then. However, there was a point where my laptop that I was running it on could not run PS2 anymore. And that kind of factored into me picking up this game. Because of my toaster laptop, I couldn't run PS2. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's an MMORPG game. And with PS2, what was it? It does eat up a lot of memory. And not only that, I can only play it with the translations because I do not know how to speak Japanese, and it did originate from Japan. So, with that being said, I could not play PS2 on anything else. I didn't have the best gaming PC to try to play it on, so I was kind of stuck with like an empty void of like, I need to play an MMORPG or something because I'm bored. Now, I did try to play it on the PS4. You can play PS2 on the PS4. I don't know about right now because they got something called New Genesis. But with, what was it? With PS2, yeah, I tried to play it on the PS4. It didn't click with me because the big problem was the language barrier. I could not read Japanese, and I could not understand what I needed to toss out and what I need to keep. And that's important because I needed as much space in my inventory because I was trying to do some things. Well, I was also like a fixer at the time as well. But anyways, yeah, with that being said, it just kind of left a giant void of like, I need a game to kind of get into. And I couldn't really find a good MMORPG at the time to really hop into. So I was looking for alternatives, and the big thing that caught my interest was this game because one, it hits my childhood, and two, it was interesting, especially after I saw Markiplier played it on his channel. So I decided to give it a shot. Now I did try to play this game on my toaster laptop. That didn't go out well. But yeah, I did try. I decided to pick up this game through the PS4. Now, I did not go into multiplayer immediately. There is multiplayer, and I'll bring that up in a few minutes. But yeah, I didn't go into multiplayer as quickly because I wanted to get right into it. So I got into single player and try to understand some of the basics when I got into single player. Now, there's a lot of things that I did not realize I need to know when I got into online, but Yeah. When I went onto single player mode, there's a good chunk of sliders I toyed around with, and then not only that, didn't really it wasn't a huge issue for me to understand the basic concept of it. However, there was a lot more finer points that I did not realize I have to do. And the game doesn't really teach you that as much. You kind of have to figure it out yourself, either by playing the game more to the point where it's like, oh, okay, so this is what I need to do. Or you look up videos and guides and stuff that kind of teach you how to do this, this, and this. Now, I tried to avoid looking up a bunch of videos, but it got to a point where I actually did look up videos, especially when I got into online play. Now, there's a difference from that of official service and unofficial service. Official service pretty much is ran by Wildcard, which is the studio that made this game, or one of the studios. I know it's Wildcard. It's still Wildcard running this game, but yeah, official service pretty much is like a free official server. Granted that if you have the DLC and all that, like you have that. But yeah, you can go onto these servers, but there's a few rules and regulations and all that jazz that you have to kind of follow. Then there's the unofficial servers where it's pretty much like your own custom server or custom server that you can join from by someone else, and then you can play on that as well. Granted that you got said permission. Now I played on official server. Let me tell you, if you really want to enjoy Ark without any stress whatsoever, join an unofficial server. Don't join an official server because there's a lot of things that you gotta deal with, and the big thing that I'm gonna stress is eats up a good chunk of time. Don't get me wrong, it is a challenge to go on to official. There are some perks to going on official, but honestly, I just had to deal with, like, I questioned myself, like, why the fuck am I actually doing some of the things that I'm doing in this game? And I'll talk about this in a bit. But yeah. I'll talk about more details about what I'm trying to stress on, but yeah, there were a lot of things that I did not know about when it comes to you going online on official servers, because the stuff that you played on single player, that's understandable and it's not as bad. But when you go onto official servers, especially if there's a bunch of people already, oh boy, there's a shit ton of things I did not know about when I got onto official servers. Now, once again, I'm not trying to dissuade anyone who wants to play it. If you want to go in there blind and you want to play, then don't watch the rest of this video. Experience it first and then come back to me or come back to this video when you go through that experience. But, oh my gosh, I did not realize how PvE official servers are. Now, I can't really vouch much about the PvP side of things. However, I got a feeling that it may be a pain because, especially if it's on official servers, it's going to be very time consuming and it may not be as enjoyable. You want to go to an unofficial service and that's not going to be as stressful, depending on whatever their settings are. But, yeah, gosh. Alright, let me talk about it. So, I'm not on the map that I first went into when it comes to official servers. I went to something called the Center. Now, the Center is pretty much a bunch of islands, and there's a ton of water around it. If I pull up the map right now, this is the Ragnarok map. This is the second map that third map that I actually played on because of all the stuff that it has to offer. And my first server that I bought is actually on the Ragnarok map as well. Anyways, back to the story. So I went to the center. I started my adventure, which I chose a starting area, and then I saw a bunch of these damn things. I saw this sort of technique right here. I see a pillar, then I see a ladder, and then, yeah, I just saw a bunch of these all across the goddamn map. Now, I didn't realize why this was an issue until I tried to build stuff. If you're on a populated official server, hopefully you can find some space, but it might be hard because people will do this damn method right here. Now, obviously it's not, it might be with stone, it might be with wet metal, I don't know, it depends on the certain tribe that has it. But yeah, people would literally litter goddamn pillars and that, unless they change this. Note that my stories are back in 2016, years ago. So they might have changed it, but from what I remember, when I logged in, I saw these damn things almost all over the goddamn islands. And I couldn't build. So yeah, note that since I'm able to pick this up, you can't I don't know if they allow that change as well on official, but yeah, no. Like you had to demolish it. You couldn't easily pick it up and save your resources. But yeah, nah, there's a bunch of those things all over the place, so I couldn't even build. Like I had to build on a boat at first, and then not only that, I only had a small chunk of land on like one of the noob islands. So yeah, I was not happy about that. And then when I started to knock out dinos out on the field, I also realized that the taming for them was a pain in the butt. So, wait, why are you going? Oi, 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 oi. You calm down. You don't need to go out. Most likely it's because my alligators out here are like killing something, and it got triggered by it. But yeah, anyways, what was I talking about? Official, right? So I saw those things. I couldn't build as much, and that kind of like said, "Oh wow, that's the thing. I didn't realize that." Okay. Did that discourage me? No. What discouraged me was how I knocked out a dino. Actually, let me demonstrate this. Obviously, since I'm playing on my own server, there is a multiplier going on. So if I knock out something and if I put food in it, it's gonna get tamed quickly. But I didn't realize when I knocked out stuff, and then when I tried to tame it, it took hours to tame it. This is where I started to kind of struggle, but at the same time, I was quite stubborn, so I actually sat for like 6 hours in real life to tame a goddamn dinosaur. And yes, when you knock out something and when you try to feed it, depending on the multipliers, it is an X amount of minutes, seconds, or hours in real life. So let me see if I can find something that won't attack me as much. Oh god, wait. Okay, no, those are dinos. Where's a dodo? That's a pego. You are not a dodo. I'm looking for a dodo. Ah, another pego. Now the things that are attacking me are like nasty beginning or small dino tames where they try to take your... Oh fuck. Wasn't trying to attack this brown toe, but alright. I'm losing my train of thought because I'm actually, no, I'm not losing my train of thought. I know what I wanted to speak, but now there's a bunch of... Obviously, I had to hit the Triceratops. Oh yeah, they also added a lot of abilities here and there for various dinos, and I'm kind of surprised about that as well. Like, when I left the game, I think they gave the ability to the Trikes. They did a lot of rework on these dinos. Anyways, after doing all of this... Hey, I need some of those dodos alive. Fuck you. Hold on, I'm trying to eat this thing. Spitter creature. Alright, so. A dodo. Now, obviously, I'm also using a certain mod for this spyglass and this night vision, but if you wanted to tame a dino, most of the times you're gonna have to try to knock it out. There's also something called passive tames as well. But if I wanted to tame this dodo, I would have to knock it out, either by punching it, or shooting arrows, or shooting tranks. But if you're a noob, you'll most likely have to do this method right here. Now, when you knock something out, most likely I'll kill this. Actually, no, I need a dodo again, so I might as well keep this one. So when you knock something out, you get to go around the place and try to find food for it, and then you get to shove a berry in there. And then you can see that there's this multiplier right here. And obviously I got a dodo. However... Actually, no, I don't really need you. Might as well kill you, actually. Hold up. Die. But yeah, I tamed a dodo. Now, on official servers, depending on what the rate is, which is most likely a 1 times... If I knock something like a parasaur out that's at a high level, like a 150, it would take... If you just use, like, berries, like how I did with that dodo, it might take hours to actually fully tame it. And back then, when I was trying to tame my first herbivores, it took me 6 real-life hours to tame them. And guess what? I was stupidly stubborn to the point where I actually sat for those 6 hours. Well, I didn't just sat there. I actually explored the area around me, gather a bunch of resources, but I literally made sure to watch over this dino for 6 hours until it was tamed. And the first herbivore I got was killed by a Terrazino, which is a chicken bird, and yeah, it pissed me off. So guess what? I knocked out a trike at a higher level, and I literally sat there for 7 hours to tame the damn thing. So yeah, official servers are something, but then again, this kind of falls back onto the point where I did not understand the concept, or I didn't learn about what Kibble was and how important it was. Now, if I did look into it, I wouldn't have sat for like those 6 hours. I would have realized, oh shit, I should have done this so I could have tamed it in maybe at least under an hour or so. But no, I didn't do that, so it literally took me an hour. I sat there for like hours on these two herbivores. Now, as I continued to play the game, and I was paying attention to a bit of chat, and then it finally got to a point where I was like, you know what, let me try to understand all these various concepts about arcs and understand what people are talking about. So that's what I did. I looked up a bunch of stuff. I looked at the kibble system, the farm system, how mutations works and all that. And then I slowly realized, oh shit, I'm a dumbass. So I got into that bit. But I didn't actually go into breeding for mutation just yet, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, like, I just played on official and I just did a bunch of stuff. Now, when I was playing on official, I also learned a new, well, it's not a new skill set. It's something that I should have done before I left PSO2. I kind of did it before I left the game because I knew that I was going to be there for a while. But I started to do a lot of marketing in this game, especially on official, because the big thing that people would definitely want is 1, stats, and or 2, color. Now, there are colors in this game. This wyvern over here, it's an event colored wyvern, meaning that this thing does not have any mutation. This was actually found in the wild naturally because I picked it up from the parent, or I picked up their egg from the parent. So this is a natural event colored wyvern. Now obviously if I do a bunch of breeding and all that, I could get a mutation where it could go into a different color. It could be pink, it could be blue, it could be whatever. So once again, I'll go a bit further into the mutation stuff later. But yeah, I just started to play Arks a bit more. I started to understand the kibble system, and then I started to tame a bunch more. So I can actually get this, what is it? The dinos that I need to do various things. Certain dinos can do certain things. For example, this thing, the Doedicurus, is great for gathering a bunch of stones. It actually has a buff in terms of, or a perk in terms of you getting a bunch of stone on it, and it can have the weight of said stone, and then you can carry it around here and there. Speaking of stone, I kind of need to go grab some stone. There's certain dinos that can equip various weapons. For example, the mantis can equip, well actually there's only a few that can actually equip stuff, but the mantis is one of them where it can actually equip some stuff on it, and it can farm things. Well, granted that you ride on it. And then you got all these different sort of things, and it could go into different texts, like how this, what is it? How I can create gunpowder, which allows me to make bullets, which allows me to make guns and ammunition for a bunch of things. And then there's sci-fi stuff as well, like this tech generator, and then this giant-ass thing called a tech replicator. There's a lot of things to learn about with Ark in terms of building. Well, yeah, the building that I made is just straightforward. It's just like a hangar. A giant square hangar, but there's a bunch of video guys out there, bunch of building stuff, building videos where they go into so much more details in terms of what they can make. It fascinates me watching some of those videos, just seeing them make something grand. But yeah, I just like build up slowly in terms of my knowledge with the game, and then I just slowly got into it to the point where I started to do a bunch of cells on the official map that I was in. Now, was I expecting myself to go that far into Arks? No, not really. I just kind of went with the flow, and it just happened to be that one game that kind of absorbed a lot of my a lot of the emptiness that I had, because once again I left PSO2. I wanted to play a game that was grindy like. And this was the game that kind of it interests me. And now I'm still playing this game as I continue to grow. As the years pass by, I'm still playing this game just because it has dinosaurs. I have an army. I just like the approach that it has compared to some other ones. But yeah, no, when I realized what I was doing and me just grabbing a bunch of dinos, that's when I started to explore a bunch of other stuff as well. My main place that I stayed in, my main base that I had was in the center. And what was it? Yeah, it was in the center, but I realized that I kind of want to get my own wyvern. I could have bought someone else's wyvern, but I wanted my own wyvern. I wanted to go through that accomplishment. So I went to Scorched Earth. Scorched Earth is a different map. It's a DLC map compared to the free ones that you got with the original Ark. So I went to Scorched Earth. Never go to Scorched Earth unless you are planning to become a masochist. I mean, understand, like, when wyverns were first introduced, the only place you could go was Scorched Earth, but now since the game has evolved and there's more maps, that's a different story. But no, in the beginning, Scorched Earth. Now, Scorched Earth is very notorious because of all the damn things that they added in there, and holy fuck, I do not want to ever go back to Scorched Earth, because I mean, it is a challenge. It is a challenge. If you want to challenge Scorched Earth, it might interest you, but that map just was hell for me, and I didn't like it. When I realized that there was a Ragnarok map, I went there instead to try to get my wyverns, and that's when I started to talk to someone. Now, when I was playing Ark, I was also a solo player. I was taming a bunch of stuff. I was doing a bunch of stuff without any sort of help. Obviously, I looked up a bunch of guides and figured out what to do, but I wasn't really big on selling stuff just yet, and then I didn't really get into mutations, and I didn't really understand what mutations are and all that jazz, and I'm trying to see if that's an alpha raptor. No, it's just a regular raptor. Alright. But yeah, I didn't understand all that bit. But when I went to the Ragnarok map, I got in there, and then I did the usual spiel, make a base, try to find a base, and do a bunch of things in terms of, like, progress. Well, the big progress for me was to get a wyvern. That was the huge thing that I wanted to do for Ragnarok. But then I realized Ragnarok has a lot more things that I wanted, and then I started to go for those things. However, I was a solo player through and through until I bump into this one guy that was in a certain area, and I'll fly to it because, well, I'm close to this spot. Now, in terms of where I settled in Ragnarok back then on the official servers, it's close to where I have my place right now. So, if you look at the map, we're pretty much around the Highlands region, which is the green area in the upper right. And I actually need to fly this Dodicarus inside the hangar area of mine. Oh wait, something's fighting over there. And that explains why— oh, no, get back in. I don't want you out. They killed it, but yeah. Anyways, in terms of where I was located in Ragnarok, especially back then, my base was actually right over here next to wyverns because I did not want to go too far to get the milk, and I wanted it to be convenient to easily steal the eggs. So I literally built my base right here, like in this forest area. Now I could have built it over here as well on my own server, on my own map, but I decided to go a bit further out and go to right next to a lake and have a bit of the redwoods as well. But yeah, I had my base right here. This was where I was stationed at. This was where that same design that I did over there was right over here. I was right next to the wyverns. But yeah, that's where my place was. And I was like by myself. No one knew me as much on both servers, on the center map and on Ragnarok. No one knew me. I was like invisible. Oh god, I just forgot. This area also requires luckily I have that for armor. But yeah, I was by myself, but then one day on the Ragnarok map, I was just like holed up over there, and then I saw someone in chat was asking for help, and they realized I was kind of the neighbor, so they were bothering me and like saying, "Hey, can you help me do this, this, and this?" And I was like, "Sure, I got you." And his base was literally right over here. Granted that I'm building my own base over here right now, but yeah, this is where he was located at, in the freezing cold goddamn area where you do not want to actually live it. And when I first visited him, I died because it was too cold for me. And what he decided to do, because I did a task for him, he gave me like the best for armor that he was able to produce. He was the only one that could produce it in the server too, so it was like, oh, huh. No one's going to be trying to go to your place because it's fucking cold. But yeah, nah. And then because of our little, because I helped him out, like I just started to do a bit more with him. I think he called me over because there was another thing that happened as well, and then we just hung out a bit, and then it just turned out like I just became his partner after, like that incident. And then he started to explain. Well, he explained a bit about mutations, but I ended up looking into it as well, and then I finally realized, oh, okay, this is what mutations are, and this is why I would want to breed and stuff. But yeah, another thing about about hatching stuff on official servers and getting babies is a pain in the ass. Right now, I'm using a mod where it's allowing me to do this, but yeah, nah, getting stuff and hatching stuff, that is a pain in the butt. Because it depends on what the egg is, depends on what dino it is. So as you can see, this thing is gonna hatch in roughly around 1 minute and 30 seconds. And you can see there's a egg HP, and then there's an egg incubation, then there's a spoil time. Now, on official servers, depending on what it is, it could take up to 6 hours for it to hatch. What's worse, that's not the end to you raising up a baby, and that thing just picked up the egg. So yeah, as you can see, these things are slowly maturing. There's 3 different phases for these babies, and it depends on what dino you're doing. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow. So these guys are already in an adolescent stage, which means that they're halfway to becoming an adult, and they won't demand as much food from your trough or from your feeding stations. However, juvenile stage is when they're slowly getting out of baby stage, getting into adolescence, and they'll be a bit demanding and still eat from the trough. But yeah, they just got out of baby stage. Baby stage is when you had to physically feed these damn things. So I had to go into the inventory and shove the berries into them. Now, because of my server and the multipliers, you don't really have to do that as much. Granted, that depends on what dino, depends on how many dinos you have, and all these other factors, but yeah, you don't really need to do that as much. On official servers, guess what? You had to do that motherfucking process. And what's worse is that, depending on the dino it could be up to, like, 28 hours. Yeah, 28 hours. That's a fucking giga. Now, from what I've read, they changed the rate of these damn dinos. So it's not 28 hours, but it is still a pain because I think they halved it to at least 14 or 12 hours. This giant thing right here, this blue giant thing, and note that this thing has a mutation. This giant motherfucker right here, the Giga, that took 28 hours. There are 3 dinos that I'm aware of in the game that takes 28 hours to raise, unless I forgot one or they added a new one that I'm not 100% aware of. But this motherfucker right here, on official servers, when I played it back then, took 28 real-life hours. And this is only to get from baby stage to juvenile stage. You still have to pay attention to it on juvenile stage because it will eat up a lot of the food in your trough. When it's adult stage, you're kind of in the clear, but you still want to pay attention to it because this thing can easily starve itself to death, and it is food hungry, like holy shit. But yeah, now this thing took 28 hours. The giant squid took 28 hours, the Morphsuit took 28 hours, so yeah, nah. I had to suffer through that. My pal and I, what was it? The one in the ice biome that I showed earlier. We both raised our own gigas one night, and we were both suffering because it was like, holy shit, this is painful. Why are we staying up 28 hours for a goddamn virtual dino? And this is where I start to question, am I a masochist? Because why the fuck do I want to pay attention to a virtual fucking dino for 28 hours? Now I actually stick to it. I stick to it. I stick to the 28 hours. I raised up my own Giga. And note that I also had a bunch of other dinos as well. This wasn't the only one that I had suffered with. The giant squids are the ones that aren't as bad. But the Giga and the Mosasaur were kind of the ones that I had to babysit. The Giga especially. This motherfucker right here. Yeah, especially that one. Oh gosh. Anyways, back on topic. So once I understood mutations, I started to get into it. The what is it? The first dino I actually experiment with mutation with was with Allosauruses, and I was breeding the event colors that I got because I did get a pink Allosaurus out in the wild, and I was breeding that into a bunch of other Allosauruses I tamed, and I was starting to work with the stats. However, I didn't really fully comprehend how the mutations were to work, especially from scratch, because I realized it was super duper painful, but I didn't really go with it. What I ended up doing was getting or trading a bunch of dinos that I had with a bunch of colors for that of stats, and then breeding the colors into the stats and making it decent. However, because of all the competition and people doing that on the official servers on the 2 maps that I was on, most of the time I didn't have the best of things. Some people would have like the best boss Rex dinos. Some people would have the best melee Ankylosauruses. Some people would have like best Doedicurus. Like the thing that I did was pretty much I realized I wasn't that great, but I gave a lot of people, especially returning customers, discounts because it's like I know I'm not gonna win against it, and I will highly stress, especially if the person was looking for stats, not to buy my stuff. But they wanted my stuff that was decent and had color. I would promote my stuff and I'll give them a discount if they continue to come to me as a returning customer. So that's what I did for both the Ragnarok and Center map, and then I realized like some of the stuff that I was doing in Ragnarok I should have done, or what I did in Ark Survival Evolved in terms of investing and doing sales and bartering and all that. I should have done it with a lot of other MMORPG games that I played. But yeah, it's just that this game kind of taught me a good chunk of things in terms of the marketing side and how to deal with people, how to talk to people. But at the same time, it was kind of lonely because I was just by myself. Like, I raised a bunch of stuff, I did a bunch of stuff by myself. It took me weeks, days, months for me to raise up like an entire army. And one of the endgame content for Arks, or at least depending on what, I mean, there's a lot of different maps and there's a lot of content that you can do in each one of these different maps, but the big thing that you would usually do is just build up the stuff that you have, and then you would want to try to do a boss fight so you can unlock some futuristic stuff. As you saw when I mentioned it earlier, when I was building a bunch of things, you get these like cool futuristic looking tech things, well, futuristic objects and things, but you unlock this by doing the boss fight, so you can actually get these futuristic looking items that you can put on your dinos or onto yourself, have buildings for that, have a lot of customization features that were locked to you, especially in terms of mutations or like a mutator and all that. But yeah, but the fact that you could do a boss fight and have an entire army with you, that was just like a plus side. I do have a recording of what I did on my server with the guys that I'm playing with. We actually did one of the boss fights over here at Ragnarok. It wasn't that bad. Granted that I was not doing a lot of the good whistle commanding, and I wasn't doing that great. You'll see it in the replay that I got. But yeah, we were able to do the boss fights. I had my Boss Rex army. They don't have the best saddles on them, but yeah, these are literally Boss Rexes that I got. Now, what I might need to do is actually make a pen for them so they don't starve to death. A few of my dinos already have meat in them, but yeah. This is my Boss Rex army. Is it colorful like I had in official servers? No. I'll most likely show a bit of what I had back on the PS4, because I did do a bit of a recording before I got off of the PS4. Now, I could continue on with this, but the video might be a bit longer than I want it to be, so I'll wrap it up. So, I have a bunch of stories. Like I said, I met a bunch of people, I did a bunch of deals on Ark, but the ultimate question is, why did I stop playing, especially back then? Now, back then I was playing on the Ragnarok map. It was like the second recent new map. Aberration was the first one, and then around the corner they had an announcement talking about Extinction, and I was going to play it, but because of a moment that happened on the official service, I rage quit. Now, note that it takes a bit for me to rage quit. I think. I don't know. I would actually need to test that out by playing a very ragey game like Get Over It. But in all honesty, like I barely rage quit out of games like this. Like I can try to do a grind. I can try to tolerate a bunch of things. But I actually rage quit from Ark Survival Evolved. And it's because of what the official servers are like. Now, if they change it, great. You might want to experience it, but because of that experience, I stopped playing Ark because of that, and I said that I would not play Ark unless I have someone, unless I have my own server or I join someone else's server that is not like official. The reason why I rage quit from Ark is because of a goddamn timer. There's a timer on official servers. Now, I get why they have a thing, because if this person stopped playing for a good year or a month, you kind of want their stuff to disappear to allow other players who are active to kind of build here and there. So, you can't see it on my server and on the stuff that I already made, but on official servers, there will be a timer somewhere that says, like, this thing will disappear in, I don't know, 7 hours, 40 minutes, 39 seconds, and it continues to tick down. Now, this can apply to your dinos as well. Well, yeah, this can apply to your dinos, and this can also, yeah, this can apply to your dinos. So there is a time limit to when your stuff is going to disappear if you do not log in for a certain time period. For most dinos, it's going to be at least a week, unless, once again, official service changed this. And then for items, it's going to take roughly around... Well, it depends on what the structure type is. If it's made out of stone, it might take 2 weeks. If it's made out of metal, it might take a month. If it's made out of wood, it might take a week. I don't remember what the actual times were, but yeah, there was a time limit. So there was one time when I was playing on the PS4, and note that by that time, too, I was kind of busy, and I was trying to get my life together and do a bunch of real-life stuff as well. But during that time, I stopped playing Ark for a while. Now, I was trying to calculate it to the point where it's like, it's a week that I get into it. You just, like, log in for a week, get out. But I kind of miscalculated on one of the days, and I was off by a day, literally. So it was on the 8th day. So when I logged into my on the official server and looked around my base, all 350 of my dinos, or however many dinos, I know it was above 200, all the stuff that I tamed, all the stuff that I traded, all the things that I've done, all the hours I spent, all the things that I've done with the game, gone. It's gone. All the wyverns, especially some of the good colored wyverns I got, they're gone. All the babies that I had, all the dinos I had, like my Rex army, my Doedicurus, my Ankies, all the useful utility dinos and all that. All gone. All gone. Now, obviously I could have asked someone to help me. Obviously I could continue playing. I did have a couple of eggs, I think, that was in the fridge. But after losing all those dinos, I just rage quit. I just rage quit from the game. I was like, screw this game. I'm done with it. All my stuff got deleted. I was planning to do a huge giveaway and give my pal, before I left, all the stuff that I had on center and give him all the tech stuff that I hoarded. All the artifacts, all the base setups that I got, but no, I just rage quit. I rage quit off of this server. Off of both of them. And thinking back on it, I'm just a bit upset about it still, because it's like, I had so much stuff that I personally raised, and it just got deleted. Now, what I should have done was just have someone play it, but once again, I have a bit of trust issues, especially with what I had to deal with in my childhood and in the past and all that. So, I guess, yeah, it just all disappeared. And that's pretty much it when it comes to my story with Ark Survival Evolved. It's playing artificial is just something you just got to be careful of. I mean, they might have changed it. It might not be as bad anymore, but it sucks that I lost all those things. But at the very least, I got my own server now, so yep. Now, on my own server, I did change the multipliers. I am releasing two, well, I have two of my own servers. I have the Ragnarok one, and then I got the Lost Island one that I just recently purchased. Now, granted, that's not up yet, but if you are interested in it, just let me know in the, well, one, I gotta know you first. I'm not gonna just let anyone just get into it because, like, you see this video, then you want to join into it. I kind of need to know who you are, like, at least pop up in the stream and all that jazz. If you want to join the one that I'm in right now in terms of Ragnarok, that one's more for members, and I really gotta know you. Like, I gotta really know you. Like, I can trust you and all that. But for the Lost Island one, it most likely be for members or those who are viewers or watchers, subscribers that usually come to my streams or just pop up every now and then in the comments and whatnot. Or someone that I talk to on the Discord server of mine. But yeah, I do have two servers. The Lost Island one will be a bit more open to you guys, the viewers, compared to that of my Ragnarok one, which is just more of members and close pals that I really, really trust. But yeah, it's just that I have a lot of history with this game. Well, at least 1 year's worth of history with this game. And getting back into it is just giving me a bunch of nostalgia, and I'm just slowly doing the stuff that I need to do for this game. And at least I'm also playing this with friends. I'm not the only one in this tribe right now because, once again, these are trusted people that I know that are in my tribe. Some of them, they definitely play PSO2, and because of what NGS is right now, they're kind of just playing along with me until something kicks in. I am going to be trying out some other MMORPGs, at least 2 of them that's on my radar, but other than that, once those 2 games come out, I'll most likely just stick with Ark. In terms of content that I'll be doing for Ark, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I might try to do some funny stuff. I might just do some boring stuff, like explain mutations in my own way. I know there's a bunch of videos already explaining it. I've seen a couple videos that clarify a good chunk of how to go about mutations, but I'll still make my own video talking about the damn thing, even though it's already been talked about for next amount of time. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching this video. Once again, it's a bit different. I just wanted to talk about this because I never actually officially talked about Arks ever on my channel. I showed it briefly, but yeah, I just wanted to bring it up. And once again, if you are watching, if you're one of my viewers or constant members that want to kind of get into the game and play on this server, then just let me know. But anyways, that is it. Information about the Discord will be placed in the description below. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Now I have to pause it like this because I can't just easily hit the... Actually, can I do that? Let's test this out. Now, the reason why this wyvern is called a baby killer is because after these parasaurs are raised up, I burned the living fuck out of them. Oh wait, I should have asked my pal if it was okay for me to do that. But yeah, this is why he's called a baby killer, because he does that. Tell me why other dung beetle is fine. Okay, there's the other dung beetle. But yeah, he's the baby killer.